Ladies and gentlemen, quite surprisingly, the admins have decided to drop the pet care update even though the progress on the city project wasn't actually at 100% yet. They decided to move the project to 100% and then release the update a few hours later. So, my name's Derailious, welcome back to Skyblock News, and let's launch right into it. The first thing I did when I got this, notification that this update came out was I came to George, and he actually said that he needed an epic Rift Ferret in order to unlock an additional level in your Taming skill. Seems like Taming now goes all the way up to level 60, which is pretty interesting. I don't know how I feel about having to give in pets to increase the level. Feels a little bit more gamey than other level 60s, but hey, it's something that you have to do here. Handing in the Rift Ferret over here to George, you can actually just offer it up, as you would, and you gain 500,000 coins and +1 taming level cap. This does get rid of the pet though, so keep that in mind. I'm going to do it for the sake of the video, and as you can see, you gain a bunch of XP. Usually most people would be already at Taming 60 in terms of overflow XP, so you should get it pretty much instantly. And next we have to get an epic slug. You have to keep giving in, this certain amount of pets in order to keep leveling up. I don't really love this. I feel like there could have been something more interesting to actually get you to Taming 60, but for rich people this will be like a non-issue. You can just buy all the pets again. Heading over to two of the new NPCs over here, Fan and Hootie, we can actually click on Fan and see that she has the pet training minigame thing. How this works is essentially you buy this owl pet, which costs 2.2 million coins, and it gives you certain bonuses. First off, it gives you training refunds. The more coins to spend on Fan sessions, the less coins they will cost. That kind of sounds weird, but basically I think it's like if you have a certain amount of coins that you've spent, in the future they will cost less. It's a maximum of 5% off, and there's a little milestone bar there, so if I'm wrong about that, that's totally fine. I just feel like the language there doesn't really make too much sense. There's also Efficient Trainer, which does actually make sense. Makes training sessions at Fan more efficient when added into a session, and as you can see here, it's increased by 10%, which I think is pretty cool. It also passively grants you 5 Taming Wisdom when it's fully maxed out. To start out with, it's obviously like 0.05%, which is effectively nothing, but for newer players who haven't maxed out Taming yet, this could be useful. So, grabbing the owl pet out of my inventory and the flying fish, and then clicking on Fan here, and then clicking on the training slot, you're able to click in the owl, which will be on the right side. This is kind of the pet that will help you level up. And then you click in the flying fish, and then you get access to the training event. You can choose a certain amount of days, you can choose a specific level, and you can also choose the training type, from free all the way up to ultra and eventually turbo. If I go up to ultra, you can see it costs 67 million coins, but I will reach level 100 in 22 days. I want to say, right now, that this is not worth it. The reason it's not worth it is because the price is basically far too high. You can do this, essentially, with the Caduceus feeder for much cheaper, and I don't know about how good Turbo is, but personally, I don't recommend leveling up your pets this way. Not only does it just take too long, it's 22 days to level up a singular pet, from level 78 to 100, but this is the second highest overall training type. If I drop it, down to light, it'll take 2,031 days, which is a comical amount of time, and it will still cost 40 million coins. Now, I will say, obviously, these numbers will go off by around 5%, and you will also get 10% bonus XP because of Efficient Trainer. But 5% off 40 mil is still 35-ish mil, maybe a little less, for 2,000 days of not using your pet. This seems so silly. It doesn't really make sense to me. I don't know why they did it like this. I think these values need to change quite a bit. Maybe there's something I'm just not getting about this, but at moderate it doesn't seem useful, at expert it doesn't seem useful, and at ultra it definitely doesn't. Use the Caduceus feeder, it's simply better for a lot of pets, and if you really are struggling with leveling up your pets this badly, just, throw it in for free and get like a free, 4,000 XP out of it. I don't know why they did it like this. I have a lot of issues with it. We'll probably talk more about it in a future video, but that is the training system for the time being. So far, I will say I'm fairly disappointed with the offerings of this update. Maybe I'm not getting it. Maybe there's something wrong. Maybe they put the values in incorrectly. I don't know. But the fact that there is a system in which you can leave a pet at Fan for 3 weeks and it costs you 70 mil and you get it back and it's full, when you can just fish for a couple hours or farm for a couple hours and max it out, doesn't make sense to me. Maybe it's not for people like me. Maybe it's for people who just log in every once in a while. But this just doesn't seem right. And the buffs that the owl gives you aren't enough to counteract these issues. I also think it's pretty sad how George just takes and yoinks your pets. I don't know how I feel about that. Maybe it would have been better if he just makes them soulbound if you actually give them to him. But yeah, you're going to have to give in some of your pets, and the way the market is right now, you're going to have to buy them back for a crazy high price if you want to get Taming 60, which, by the way, is going to be the thing that makes Fan easier. None of this update feels fun or interesting, and maybe that's just a me thing. Maybe I'm just being a little bit too much on this, but I just don't get it. I kind of wish this was a little bit differently. I was expecting a little fun minigame you could do like every day, like the enchanting minigame. But just leaving your pets for 70 million coins in 3 weeks to level it up, that doesn't really seem that interesting to me. Going up to the top of the pet care center, there's just a funny little scene here. There isn't like a new NPC around here as far as I know, but if there are any other things, I will, follow up in this next section. In terms of other new items, there is something kind of neat, I guess, in the Ice Collection. If you have Ice Collection 7, there's this thing called the Ice Cube. It prevents all ice from melting on your private island, so if you're going for those visuals, this is definitely something you want. It's a fairly cheap recipe. I don't think people are going to have a problem getting this. The other thing is apparently a secret tracker for dungeons. Now, that sounds interesting until you realize it just points you in the direction of the nearest secret, and you can only use it once every 5 seconds. So it's going to make your runs way slower if you use it. I recommend just learning the actual, route. But other than that, there doesn't seem to be too much else with this update. In the process of me making that section on how there's nothing else in this update, I actually noticed this funny little building here, and I was like, ooh, interesting. And then I saw cost of gems, and I was like, oh no. And then I looked over here, and apparently Taylor is selling seasonal skins. Apparently this is like the new seasonal model for Skyblock. There's a current bundle that goes on. It'll last for 3 months. You can pick these things up, some of which actually look really, really cool, so keep that in mind. But yeah, if you're someone who buys a lot of things for gems, this is actually cool. I kind of like this. But if, looking at the larger update that just happened and how it's not very good, I feel like it's kind of a slap in the face to put these in. Obviously, they benefit me because people are going to use code Rail more or codes in general, but I just wish the main update they pushed out with this came out a little bit better. I think if it did, no one would really care about this. If anything, it gives collectors a way to collect some pretty cool skins and get them every 3 months, which I think is neat. But yeah, I don't know. It gets around the fire sale problem, but at the same time, it just feels kind of bad considering the current update we got. Seymour is down here in the basement now. He sells the tuxedos, so you'll be fine getting those. And I don't really have too much else to say. I'm a little burnt because of this update. I do think it's relatively small, and that shouldn't bother me too much, but at the same time, I just kind of wished we got something a little more substantial and a little more interesting. Paying 70 mil to lose your pet for 3 weeks to level it up from level 78 to 100 just doesn't interest me. I'm sorry. I could just play the game for an hour or two and get a couple, levels or things like that. Losing access to your pet also kind of irks me. It'd be interesting if they had a way to leave it in your inventory. Maybe they're going to expand on this update or add to it, I don't know. I don't want to be too harsh for no reason, but I do feel like they should have released this in a little bit more of a balanced state. At the end of the day, though, my name is Derailious. Thank you so much for watching this video till the end, and look to the future, fellas, because I will see you then.